Hey there, this is Anita from the Wise Women's Workplace, and I'm here to share with you insights that made the difference in my journey from administrative assistant to executive director and beyond. Over the years, I've collected lessons learned on how to become a sought-after employee, and I want you to know them too, so that you are finally valued for your real contribution at your workplace. So, let's get started. Hi, this is Anita from the Wise Women's Workplace podcast and Facebook group. Today we're going to talk about ways to feel more comfortable when meeting people at a professional event and why it's important for you to think about beforehand. I used to be so uncomfortable at any event that I would go to where I would have to make small talk about my job with other people, which is pretty problematic if you think about it. It's basically the whole idea of going to an event is to talk to people and to network. And whether it was for talking to the participants or the speakers, the mere thought generally made me anxious long before the event even occurred. And now I hear the same thing from other professionals all the time, even those with experience. Meeting new people just somehow makes us feel really nervous. I had heard that networking is important for career advancement, and so I wanted to get started. Going to events was a good way to do that, except that I was really unprepared. I'm not a very shy person. In fact, I'm usually pretty comfortable walking up to people and saying hi. But once we said hello and exchanged names, I suddenly felt very self-conscious and tongue-tied when the small talk started. I had an administration position, and what is there to say about administration that's interesting? Actually, there's plenty to say, but I'll get back to that. So either I would say almost nothing about what I did in my work, usually by oversimplifying it or playing it down, or I would babble on trying to explain in way too much detail what I was doing. Neither approach was good, I must say, and after the other person delivered some smooth and professional-sounding description of what they do and extended, or maybe didn't, a business card, which I didn't even have at the time anyway, I always felt embarrassed. So after a few times of hearing myself do the same clunky introduction of myself over and over, I thought that I should try to get better about what I was saying. So quite simply, I started preparing myself before going to events. And that may sound simple, but it improved things for me tremendously. And so if you're like I was and hate introducing yourself at events, I want to share a few techniques with you to make it easier. With some minimal preparation, you can be much more comfortable at an event. I'll talk to you about what to do about small talk in a future episode, but for now, I'm just going to focus on introducing yourself and what to do in the first few moments of meeting someone. The two most common problems that you may have with introducing yourself are the following. First, I don't know what to say when I meet someone, and second, I don't really know what to do, or what I would call the introduction protocol, so the way to behave. So let's take these in order. First, what do you say when you meet someone? While it may sound simple and obvious, I'm going to say it anyway. Just keep it professional. If your words could have a dress code, think business casual. Be friendly, polite, keep it short, and to the point. To get things going, I would suggest simply saying, "Hi, it's nice to meet you. My name is," and then, say your first and last name. Now, the other person will probably reciprocate if they have good manners. And as I'm sure you're well-mannered, you will likely answer, "It's nice to meet you," and then say their first name to show that you were listening and to help you retain their name better. By the way, English-speaking countries often go by first names immediately, whereas other countries may go by last names until agreed otherwise. So make sure you adapt for local practices. Okay, so now you've said, let's say, "It's nice to meet you, Julie." Okay, and hopefully they will say that they're happy to meet you too, or at least something like, "Likewise." Now the ball is in your court again. So best to have something prepared. Perhaps try introducing what you do and where you work in very short form. And as you don't know much about the person in front of you, you can add a simple explanation in non-technical language. Make sure to avoid any specialist language or lingo if possible. This could perhaps look like, or sound like, I work as a quality assurance engineer at, tech company, so enter the company name. So I'm a user advocate. I make sure that the solution the client receives meets their specifications. And how about you? Now, one of two things will likely happen. Either they will introduce themselves with something similar, And if so, then make sure to listen carefully, as you will want to be able to ask them relevant questions. People often like to talk about themselves, so they may launch into a long explanation of what they do and not require much prompting to keep the discussion going. Or they will ask questions about what you just said. So some people will get hooked on how you introduce yourself. Maybe they're in the same field and you can start discussing about many varied things immediately with no problem, and it will be very natural. Some, in particular, if they aren't in the same field as you are, will want to ask questions about what you said you do or the company that you work for. This is where you should try to make sure that you have another way to describe what you do. If you see they're from another field, repeat what you do in even simpler terms. So maybe say something like, I work for a software company that provides customized solutions for clients. Because this can be quite technical, my work ensures that clients get the solution they really want and need. And then make sure to follow up again with, what area do you work in? By now, the conversation should start to be flowing and you can ask more about what they do. And just repeat the same process as other people join your group. You can encourage people to join the group simply by smiling at people who are hovering around or cruising by your group. This will make it a lot easier for you to keep the conversation going in a small group. And like I mentioned, I'll do another podcast on small talk, so if you're concerned about that, make sure to subscribe to the podcast to be informed when the new episode comes out. Okay, second, let's talk about what to do when you meet someone, or what I call the introduction protocol. So as you're approaching someone or being approached, have a quick scan of their hands. You may already be able to anticipate if you should shake hands with the person. If they have their hands full, let it be. Don't worry about it. It's very awkward if you extend your hand to someone who doesn't have a free hand to shake. This may make you both feel uncomfortable, and you don't want to do that. As you come into proximity, start by making eye contact, saying hello, and smiling. And yes, smile even if you don't feel like smiling. Smiling is a great way to put other people at ease. And if you say hello first, they will certainly feel like reciprocating. And if you have a drink in your hand, keep it in the left hand so that there's no awkward switching back and forth of your glass. Now, you should make sure to stand at least 2 to 3 feet from the person. Anything closer than that is getting too intimate and will usually make the other person feel uncomfortable. And having a look around the room from time to time is okay, as long as you come back often and quickly to the person who's talking to you. But make sure not to linger too long on any one person. Otherwise, it's going to look like you're interested in getting away from the person or in looking to find a better discussion partner, and that's not really very kind. And as the group of people discussing grows, you should always make sure to open the circle enough to invite others to join in the discussion. Like I said, it's a good way to easily keep the discussion going, right? By getting new people in the group. Finally, when the other person starts looking around, maybe you want to wrap the discussion up yourself. Wait until there's a lull in the conversation and then just say something like, "Oh, I just need to excuse myself. It certainly was a pleasure meeting you." And then say goodbye. If you had a good conversation and would like to keep in touch, you can share your business card with them. They will likely reciprocate, but they won't always. If this is truly a contact that you felt a connection with, make sure to send a follow-up email when you get back to the office. A good thing to do is to jot down on the card some short information about the person and where you met them. Then when you follow up, say something like, "Dear Julie, we met at the Tech Spec event on Thursday. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I hope we will get another chance in the future. Maybe we could get together for a coffee and discuss. If that's of interest to you, just let me know. Best wishes," and your name. I know that once I got down what to say about myself, how to say it, and when to say it, things went so much better and easier. And it's definitely worth practicing how you're going to describe what you do at your job. That way you can say something appropriately positive about what you do and sound very natural doing it. If you write it down, you can rework it until it feels right and you're proud of what you're saying. Your work is important and deserves that you spend some time thinking about how to describe it properly. So as a reminder, first, if you want to feel more confident about meeting others in a professional situation, make sure to practice how you're going to describe your role at your company in a positive but concise way. Second, make sure to be aware of your surroundings and the other person's body language. Make the experience easy and pleasant, and as soon as you see the conversation is coming to a natural end, say goodbye, and move on to another group. If you need help with mastering small talk, look for the future episode focusing specifically on that. If you subscribe to the podcast, you will receive automatic notification when it comes out. Also, I invite you to join the Wise Women's Workplace Facebook group to be part of a free but valuable community of women helping each other in the workplace. You can find it on Facebook by typing www.facebook.com/groups/Wise Women's Workplace. And you will find free resources on the website www.wisewomensworkplace.com. And finally, remember to subscribe to the podcast if you want to be informed when more podcasts are available with more tips on how to become a sought-after employee. There are many more helpful tips on the way. In the meantime, take care of yourself and be wise.